Stand by to initiate release sequencer. On my mark. 5.
We're on express elevator to hell. Going down.
2. 1. Mark.
Hello everyone, my name is Mark, aka Derringer. Today is Sunday, October 14th, and you are listening to episode 178 of the Instant Action Podcast, your weekly source for Planetside 2 news and information. As always, I'm brought to you by great listeners like you via the Support the Show tab on instantactionpodcast.com. So to start out, I almost didn't do a show this week, and it's probably not for any of the reasons that you might imagine. No, I'm not burnt out on Planetside 2. No, I didn't have family stuff going on or things that were preventing me from doing a show this week. And no, it's not that there wasn't content out there to do a show on this week, because there's plenty of stuff to talk about this week. I almost didn't do a show mainly because I was stupid. And just to not get too deep into it, because I'm going to talk about the Soltech server when that launches, because that launched this past week. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit during this week's show. But the day that the Soltech server went live, I kind of created a throwaway character on the Soltech server whose name wasn't the best and probably was a little racist. And I may have angered the devs over it a little bit. I didn't get banned or anything like that, but I really feel like I was a schmuck regarding it and pretty immature regarding the whole thing. And I've just been kind of keeping my head low, haven't been playing with my outfit much, haven't been interacting with the community much because, you know, like I said, I was pretty stupid and pretty immature regarding this. And it's kind of all left a bad taste in my mouth. And so I really was contemplating not doing a show this week as kind of just stepping away from everything. But then I realized I don't do the Instant Action Podcast to get the appreciation or affections of the devs for Planetside 2. I do it for the community of Planetside 2. And what made me realize that I need to do a show is I get emails each week with people telling me how they appreciate the show. I'm going to do one this week, which helped me realize that not doing a show would be stupid. And not playing with my outfit for this week, I saw a whole bunch of people in different outfits all talking to me, all thanking me for doing the show. A bunch of people asking me if you know, are you that person? Are you the podcaster? Are you the person that the devs put a gun in the game for? Things like that. And it made me realize that I would be completely selfish and an asshole to the community by not doing a show this week, regardless of how I feel. I acted earlier with the devs in mind. So that's all. Long story short, I guess this is kind of my apology show to the devs for kind of being stupid and immature when I shouldn't have been. An apology to the community, even though you guys aren't having any ill effect from, because I am doing a show, but the fact that I was even considering not doing a show for reasons such as that. So what's in store for this week's show? Well, first, obviously, the Nanite of the Living Dead event is live, and I'm going to tell you all about it. After that, I do want to give the devs their due regarding the Soltech server, my immaturity aside. After that, I'm going to talk about performance issues that have arisen because of this game update, and then I'm going to finish with a personal gripe regarding knives that also creeped in with the last update. So strap in as we hot drop into another episode of the Instant Action Podcast. Like I said, that first topic this week is the October 11th PC game update, which brought us Nanite of the Living Dead 5, subtitled The Seeds of Terror. And basically, I've talked a little bit about it last week. October is Halloween, but also October means Nanite of the Living Dead for Planetside 2. So we've got 4 different tiers of directives for this, beginning with, let me just tell you what the rewards are for those various tiers. If you complete the first tier, you get 75 pumpkin seeds. If you complete the second tier, which I'm working on right now still, you get 100 pumpkin seeds, and you also unlock the Ecto Blaster sidearm. If you finish the third tier, you get 200 seeds and the Halloween 5 profile banner. If you finish the tier 4 reward, you get 400 pumpkin seeds and the LB00, that's Elbu, the Python armor-piercing cannon for the lightning. You can also use the pumpkin seeds that you're earning to purchase items in the depot. Lots of good cosmetics for Halloween are there. But yeah, the big thing is to unlock those different tiers and the rewards. You've got 6 different directives that you can do for Nanite of the Living Dead. I'm going to try to do these off the top of my head. The first one is to revive friendly players. The next one is to resupply friendly players either in or out of a vehicle. I've been doing that one a lot with my engineer. The next one is killing enemy players with a event weapon, whether that's the Ecto Blaster or the Candy Cannon or the Slasher. The next one is earning the ribbons for killing enemy players with these. So that's kind of a dual one. You'll get one specifically for using a weapon, but you'll also earn some of the ribbons for doing it as well. That gets you there. And the last one is the one that was giving me fits, and that's earning shared experience while in a vehicle with other players. I found the easiest way to do that one is to be a gunner in a Sunderer, and I was certainly earning quite a lot of XP because the driver is giving people either ammo or repairs, and you get a little taste of that every single time. So those are different 6 6 directives that you can do for the tier rewards. Like I said, I finished the first tier on both my VS and my NC characters, and I'm slowly working through the second tier on both of them. It's taken me quite a long time, unfortunately. I forgot one. That was killing the Galactolantern Space Pumpkin. So that's actually the 6th one. It's not a dual one where you're getting kills and getting the ribbons as well. I haven't seen a Galactolantern yet. Those are the bigger ones, not the little small pumpkins that you see all over the place. So again, you want to earn these space seeds. You can buy a whole bunch of cool stuff in the depot. This is where you get all your masks. But the other things are the Ecto Blaster itself. Pretty cool weapon. It's a splash weapon, so it's just like the water pistol, but it does shoot full auto. I've seen a ton of people using it. I can't wait to unlock it. The banner, the profile banner, is just a profile banner with the pumpkin. The LB00 Python is a lightning variant, obviously. Got a Halloween color scheme to it. Another cool thing in the depot are those green Wisp tire trails. I haven't unlocked that yet. I'm waiting for my next Daybreak Cash allotment to kick in before I purchase that, but I'm definitely purchasing the whole thing. Also, drop pods have been turned into pumpkins, which I think is pretty awesome, especially when you see one come crashing down to the ground, pop open, and somebody drops out of it. And the biggest thing about the event is, the Ichabod crown. That's the pumpkin head mask. Everybody has that in there as one of the helmets that they can wear. And during this event, you should be wearing it, because not only does it provide 10% additional experience while you're wearing it, there's also a few of the directives that you must be wearing a Halloween helmet in order to complete them. Specifically, the medic reviving one specifically is, and also the engineer one of resupplying. You need to be wearing the crown, either the Ichabod crown or any of the other Halloween helmets to actually get that to happen. I love Nanite the Living Dead every year, and I'm super excited for it to be back again. It's running, it's live now, and it's slated at this point to run until the end of the month. It's going to expire on October 31st. So really, right as it stands right now, they haven't made any announcements. You have 2.5 weeks to kind of finish your directives. And I know there's people out there who have finished the whole thing already. And those people are obviously playing Planetside 2 a hell of a lot more than I am. Moving right along, though, because there was more to this game update than just the Nanite of the Living Dead 5 event. So next, let's talk performance and networking. Because although the devs really didn't go into detail on what they did, they said that they made some significant but speculative changes to some of their internal processes in efforts to fix current issues related to network and overall performance. They're still going to be investigating and adding new things and new iterations to what they've already done. But note that there were some performance updates in this game update. And I'll talk about how that really worked out a little bit later in this week's show. But there were some also meta changes in this game update. The big thing right now is for aerial anomalies. So when the anomaly appears, it's now going to create a mission objective for players to follow. And it's going to block the auto assignment of new mission objectives. And it's also going to point the way to the most recent anomaly. And then after you complete the event, the winning faction overseers are going to notify players that a continent benefit has been secured once it's done. Also, air vehicles should now properly be discounted during and after the event. And the 20% discount string should no longer appear on the tab screen during an alert. Also, they've also added a second anomaly. So what's going to happen basically is the first anomaly is going to spawn, and just before it ends, a new anomaly is going to spawn. So there's going to be a slight overlap. And the intent there is to really disperse the larger groups of air that are just sitting on a single point. And it also gives the ability for non-dominant factions a chance to start gathering points early on. And they are going to be watching how this is going to affect the aerial anomaly event in the game itself. Next, they added in the unstable meltdown, and so this is a new end of continent alert, where if a continent ever has less than a 150 population, and this is, when the continents are in an unstable state, so you're just looking at that minimized area towards the center of the map. But if ever the continent still has less than 150 players and a 41% territory control is reached, it's going to kick off this unstable meltdown alert, and they're going to last 45 minutes. They've got the reduced territory in play, and what it's really looking to do is to help rotate continents during off-peak hours. The alert pool is going to be the same regardless of participating in full-length meltdown alert or the new unstable version. So that means you could still get the different rewards from it. So I think that's a little interesting add into this. I know a lot of people complained that, specifically Briggs, and then again during off hours on some of the other continents, that you'd be stuck in this unstable warp gate phase where they'd just be stuck there for the longest time. I think adding this new mini alert, or mini meltdown is a good way to make sure that continents keep changing during off hours. Now, speaking of the reward pool, the new weapon that was teased is a new variant of the Archer, and this one's called the NSAM-8 short bow, and it's a close-range variant of the Archer, which comes with close-range optics, faster handling, reload, and rechamber speeds, and a smaller magazine size. Now, just like the NS-357 IA Derringer pistol or the Showdown, in order to earn or get this reward from an alert, you need to own an Archer or any of the Archer variants. You must also win the Meltdown alert, and you must have participated with at least 90% participation for a chance to unlock it. Again, that's the same as the Derringer pistol and the Showdown pistol as well. You must already own either the original guns of each of them in order to get it, and same thing is true with the Archer itself. Moving along, though, they have temporarily disabled the tutorial zone for new players, and that's to fix some issues related to spawning into that zone itself. Also, regarding the UI, they made a whole bunch of changes here. Engineer ammo should no longer overlay terminal icons on the map in the HUD. This was a big complaint of people. They couldn't find things because there were so many engineer ammo packs everywhere. A new thing that I like is that your currently selected respawn location now shows more prominently on the map. It's actually got a bigger green circle around it, and it kind of pulses to let you know that that's where you're currently selected to respawn. I really like that. It's just small quality of life change, but it really lets me know exactly where I'm going to respawn at all times. They also made a whole bunch of other changes into this. They added some bounty spotting indicators that show the facing direction. They added the update banner to inform players of events and updates when they log in for the first time. This is actually a big banner that splashes across your screen if you haven't logged in since the Nanite the Living Dead event has gone live. It just tells you that that is live. I think that's really cool that they added something like that in, because if you're somebody who's coming back to the game and hasn't played in a while, you're getting that big splash screen that tells you exactly what's going on. This one was a little lacking in information. I think it just said that it was live, but I would love to see a lot more stuff in it, and I'm really thinking of World of Warcraft-esque. If you've played World of Warcraft recently, whenever they do a recent game change or game update into it, the first time that you log in, you get a pop-up in the middle of your screen that shows you or gives you a little bit of information on some of the new things that were added to the game recently. So I'm hoping that this banner is going to have more information. It's going to be more graphically intense, more text built into it to kind of give more information as to what exactly has been released in this particular game update. It's a good idea for them to do it rather than just having people rely on notes and going in and checking all the game update information or listening to me. Also, they've added the ability to join and rejoin voice channels. I talked about that on last week's show. They also gave platoon leaders access to leaders chat. They fixed an issue where using /platoon swap could cause crashes. They updated the /sitrep messages so they're more accurate. They also fixed the issue with negative capture time values. Fire team leaders should also now show their suit icon next to their name in the squad pane, and fire team leaders can now be promoted and demoted similar to squad and platoon leaders. Now let's move on to everyone's favorite, the vehicle adjustments. And I think the first one up is probably the most controversial one out there right now, and this is what's happened to the Wraith Cloak Flash. Now they've added a 5-second reuse delay after exiting Cloak. They reduced the energy pool by 33% at all ranks, and now if you activate the cloak, it's going to consume an equivalent of 25% of the maximum energy pool upon activation. And the dev notes on this is that the changes increase the risk for toggling off stealth, and it forces players to choose their ambush targets more carefully. I'm still seeing nothing but complaints regarding this from players who use the Wraith Cloak a lot. Whereas I'm seeing victims of players using the Wraith Cloak and getting the jump on them and killing them. Not too unhappy with this. I wouldn't be surprised if we see another change to this if this isn't the final iteration of it before it's done with. Next, the Valkyrie got its small arms resistance upped from 75 to 90. And again, they felt that it was, they had reduced the effectiveness a little too much with the last pass, so it's not where it was, but it's closer to where it was. I'd like to see them get another 1 or 2 points out of this one before they're done with it. Next, the Buzzard was added to the depot to begin with. This is the NC flash weapon for the summer event. It also has the utility option for prime shells, which remove the minimum arming distance of each projectile. The Starfall, this is the VS Flash version, is also now available in the depot. They reduced the direct damage, they increased the blast inner damage, and they reduced the blast outer radius. And again, this was to increase the number of reloads needed to kill lightnings from the rear by 1, as well as non-composite armor harassers. And the blast damage adjustment gives a bit more potency against infantry, and they've reduced the outer radius to emphasize direct hits. Really, the Starfall is most likely the reason that the Wraith Flash got the nerf that it did. And Starfall's getting the nerf as well. Lastly, the Pillager, this is the TR Flash one from the summer event, is also now available in the depot. Projectiles also now pass through infantry, but not through vehicles. It got a slight direct damage increase. It also got a burning duration increase, a projectile lifespan increase, and a little bit of drag reduced from the projectiles themselves. Next, moving on to infantry and attachments. Comfort grips now increase equip speed by 30%. Laser sight and advanced sight laser strings now use the correct numerics. And also laser sights actually reduce the cone of fire by 33%, while advanced lasers reduce it by 40%. The effects of the attachments are unchanged, but their strings now reflect the reductions they give properly. Moving on to implants. Starting with critical chain, the chamber speed no longer goes away upon the first shot, and starting at rank 3, it also stores charges, allowing multiple headshots in succession to stack durations up to 8 seconds at rank 4. And it also uses different visuals to signify when that buff is active. There are also a few miscellaneous changes and fixes. There was an issue where people couldn't purchase memberships in-game. They feel that they've got that fixed. They changed the meltdown and reward notifications, and they're still tracking some issues where certain rewards are showing blank. They fixed the ASP vehicle discounts. They fixed an issue with Electrotech that was causing other implants to trigger on resource depletions that weren't shields. And once again, you can hear footsteps in first person while wielding a knife. That's a huge one. That's the game update all together from start to finish. Again, the biggest thing obviously is Return of Nanite of the Living Dead, which I'm super excited about, and stuff like that. Before I get into the rest of the show, let's get this week's veteran's voice into your ear holes.
If there is one thing that is never around when you need it, it's a medic. This baffles me, of course. Medics are one of the easiest ways to package certs and ship them directly to your CO in exchange for the next shiny thing that crosses your path. One medic can make all the difference in the world in a heavy fight. Yeah, it might suck to be caught with your pants down while you're sticking that green beam up some heavy's nose just so he can stop warming the ground, but that's because you have your priorities in the wrong order. When someone drops, the first thing I see medics do is swap to the old spatula and start scraping that jarhead's brains off the wall. Wrong move, Roger. First, you need to clear the area. If Dingleberry bought it that quickly, chances are that it's at least one enemy soldier on the other side waiting to give you a .32 caliber enema. There isn't a rush to go get your boot up the ass of your overzealous pal. Instead, try to eliminate what killed him before you become the first in a pile of medic corpses. Just say no to bum baiting. Remember, the only difference between a scrub lord and a Superman is learning from your mistakes. You're up, Derringer. I have my own baiting to do. What? No, that's not dirty, Bloggins. Look, if you hadn't rolled over the boat, I wouldn't need to tie more fishing flies. Get your mind out of the gutter.
Thank you, Romus. Let's move on to our second topic this week, and that is going to be the Soltech server. And that's something that I didn't mention in the game update notes, even though it was there, because I wanted to give it its own little kind of space in this week's show. So obviously the new server has been added. It is live. It is Tokyo based, as we all know. You're able to create characters on Soltech right now if you want to. They're going to be adding the temporary ability to transfer characters from Connery to Soltech at a later date. And the real goal here is to give a better and more enjoyable gaming experience for their Asiatic players, but also for their Connery players. Because let's be honest, a lot of Asian players were playing on the Connery server and having terrible pings there and making the game, not good for folks that were playing on Connery as well. So that's kind of good. It's real good that this server was added. Now, the stupidity of myself that I talked about at the beginning of the show aside, I've heard quite a few people playing on Soltech, and specifically folks in the Asiatic area, much happier with the game that they're playing over there. Still, the server's kind of quiet, not a ton of people on there. I have read reports that if you like playing New Conglomerate, you might want to hold off for a little while because NC is kind of dominating the new player scene over on the Soltech server. They're definitely looking for more VS and more TR players over there. It will be interesting what happens once they open up the server transfers from Connery to Soltech. I expect to see a lot of existing players making moving their main characters over, and then it will kind of be interesting to see, what the ratio is of each faction at that point. So, basically, right now, if you're creating a new player to go play on Soltech, don't create an NC player. Create either a VS or TR because you're going to get a much better game experience over there if you do, in the amount of targets that you're going to have. Because, again, NC is kind of dominating over there right now. I guarantee that those numbers are going to change once we see people moving their main characters over to Soltech to play there full time. Hopefully, we'll start seeing the ability to move characters back and forth sometime this week. It seems like it's a huge success that Soltech came online. I know that I spoke to Drew about it, and Drew said that they put a lot of time into it. Let me find you the quote from Drew. Hold on. He basically told me that they worked very hard to make Soltech happen, and it's good on them. Good. I know Nick's been really behind Soltech as well. It's kind of something he keeps mentioning all the time. It seems like maybe it's his baby. I don't really know that for sure, but that's kind of the impression that I get on it, that this was something that he was pushing to have come live and get people to play on. So very good on them for getting the Soltech server up and running and getting the first week weekend out of the way and getting players over there and playing on it. And again, I'm seeing nothing but good feedback regarding it from the people that are out there and playing on Soltech. So if you're a Connery player and you want to see what Soltech's like on the other side, with insane pings, this is your chance to try that out too. Nothing's stopping you from certainly doing that. And I will just end by saying, don't do what I did and make a potentially racially sensitive name over there, because stupid, immature, and not something that we should probably be doing in today's society. And again, we'll just leave it at that. Let's move on to our third topic this week. And that third topic is the disconnect issues that have been brought forward with this most recent game update. Now, I'm going to be upfront on this. I'm not experiencing any disconnect issues whatsoever with Planetside 2. The game is running perfectly for me right now. I've been setting up all my streaming stuff. Something I haven't mentioned is that when I went to PAX East this year, I signed up to be part of Extra Life Boston this year. So in a couple weeks, November 3rd, I'm going to be doing the... I don't think that I can do 24 hours streaming, but I think that I can commit to 12 hours of streaming, and I'm talking 12 hours straight. I'm thinking from noon to midnight on the 3rd. I'm just going to go and live stream as much as I can. We'll see if I survive. So I've been testing my systems with that and having that running in the background while I'm playing Planetside 2. I did a quick live stream session on it. Everything's up and running, and I'm having no disconnect issues with Planetside 2. That being said, I know a lot of players on many servers, if not all of them, are experiencing these disconnect issues as well, where you'll just be playing and then poof, you're gone. You get disconnected. You're not getting banned or anything like that. It's just something's going on and you're getting disconnected. Now, there is a post out on Reddit about it that Roxley did respond to, and she wrote that they believe the issues were due to a new tech integration, not behaving the way it should have, not the content in the patch itself. That's why they haven't been able to do a simple rollback with the patch. Yes, it's a pain, but we'll get things working. It will be worth it in the long run. They said they have team members coming in and working on it over the weekend, and they'll provide an update or fix as soon as they can. But they are also going to most likely extend the length of the Halloween event as well, as we know players have lost time to play in the event itself. So that's good news. Now, first of all, because I think only giving us 2.5 weeks or so, or 3 weeks total for the Halloween event to run, does kind of stink, and hopefully they'll push it into November 3rd. That would be awesome. Do that for me, please. Make it last the entire day of November 3rd for my live streaming. That would be awesome. And again, the other thing is these disconnect issues aren't happening to everybody. It's only happening to a certain number of people, and they really haven't pinned down why it's happening to a certain number of people. Just know that they're working on it, and hopefully by the time Monday or Tuesday rolls around, we've got another update to this game itself, or a quick patch to kind of fix exactly what's going on. With that, let's move on to topic 4. And that last topic, like I said, was a personal little bug for me in the game itself, is regarding knives. There seems to be an issue with this game update where if you are wielding a knife and you try to stab somebody and kill them with it, that you can hit them multiple times and you won't deal any damage to them. And it's particularly annoying because obviously one of the directives is to kill players with a Halloween weapon. And if you have not unlocked the Ecto Blaster yet, one of the easier weapons to use is the slasher, and that's the knife. So normally you could sneak up on somebody invisible and have a knife out and pop out, knife them a couple times, and they're dead, and you're good to go. Now, no matter what I do, I can't get it to work, and I'm seeing other people complaining about it as well. A few posts on Reddit about it. And I've found that I have to restrict myself to, pulling out a gun first, shooting them, and then quick knifing them. And that's not... I would love to just keep the knife out at all times as a infiltrator and run around knifing people, but it's kind of a pain that this is broken at this particular junction. And I'm not hearing that this is happening to the power knives. It just seems to be a lot of the other knives in the game itself. And again, specifically the slasher. And that's the one that's kind of pissing me off the most because in the first tier, you've only got to get 10 kills with a Halloween weapon, but the next one you got to get 40. And I'm not the best knife player to begin with, so not being able to do it with a knife is kind of annoying. So this is just my little PSA to you. Knives are currently broken, especially the slasher, and hopefully the devs hear my plea to fix this ASAP because it's annoying the hell out of me. With that, we've gone long enough this week. Let's move on to housekeeping.
Housekeeping. Housekeeping.
Come back later, please.
Housekeeping?
Not now.
Housekeeping?
Go away.
I coming anyway?
All right, first up this week, I got an email from Phoenix Briggs, and he writes, so all the projectiles are going to be more realistic, so that means I can't hide behind towers anymore because those NC guys are just going to bounce so many bullets off the walls. You can cover an area just by just shooting the walls. I really think that if they overdo the bullet physics, it will totally break the game for one, and for two, it will cause you to be afraid of the chain gun ricocheting a point to keep everyone off of it. Also, do you ever get the feeling that they could have done just a little bit more with the Sunderer, such as just this one thing, being the driver and you don't have a co-pilot to accompany you next to you? This would be really nice to keep us long-term Sunderer drivers company. So to answer your first question, maybe the projectiles are going to be more realistic. Again, like I said last week, this is just some sort of proof of concepts that Garrett's been working on over at Daybreak Games. There's been no talk about any of this stuff truly coming to live yet. They only just got the projectiles to pass through infantry and hit other infantry and things like that. So if some of these things change or come to the game, it might be a little ways down the road, if it even comes at all. I think the Sunder is fine where it is, to tell you the truth. Next, I got an email from a new listener, Modern Atlas. Well, not a new listener, but a new emailer. And he wrote, longish time listener, first time writer. I love the show and I look forward to it every week. Community members like you are what make our game what it is. Now, as for my question, I'm curious as to your opinions on the split community opinion, at least as far as Reddit goes, on organization and outfit play. Most people on the sub seem to see the value in tactical and strategic coordination, but a non-negligible amount just chalk it up to trying too hard. What do you think causes the difference in perspective? Thanks, Modern Atlas. So first, Modern Atlas, thank you for being a long-time listener and for sending an email in. Also, Modern Atlas had a request for Romus, which I happily forward on to Romus, and Romus says, stay tuned. But back to your question. I am one of the ones who sees the value in tactical and strategic coordination. I mean, I play a lot with the guys in B-Way. Well, maybe not a lot, but I play occasionally with the guys in B-Way, and I certainly know what it means to be part of a B-Way point hold against what seems like insurmountable odds. So I really value the tactical and strategic coordination of a good group, and I don't see it as trying too hard. But I do think that the cause of the difference in these perspectives is the difference between I don't want to lump it in as older and newer players or younger players, but it seems to me that the people who have been playing FPS games for a long time and want to be that top tier player are the ones that value this organizational and outfit play in the game itself. And the younger players are the ones that just want to go out and play and not care about stuff like that. Maybe I'm just putting a blanket concept on top of this, and it's not the real thing, but this is kind of the way that I've seen it, is that the older players within the game, or any games, not just Planetside 2, feel this way, whereas younger players don't. And I think those younger players will kind of take a turn and make a change as they get older. And I don't know why that is. I'm sure there's some psychological reason why, and maybe a psychiatrist can chime in next week in email. I'd love to hear a potential reason regarding it. But that's why I think causes the difference in those perspectives themselves. But again, thank you for that email, Modern Atlas. But that's going to be it for this week's show. How can you get in touch with me or the show itself? Well, as always, your first stop should be my website, www.instantactionpodcast.com. Shoot me an email, instantactionshow@gmail.com. Call me, leave me a voicemail, 347-4VM-4PS2 or 347-486-4772. You can also follow the show on Twitter @InstActPodcast or follow me directly at Twitter @TheDerringer. But in closing, if you've enjoyed the show, please leave me a review on your podcast listening avenue of choice, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or anywhere else. Also, feel free to tell your friends and outfit mates about the show. And finally, thanks for listening, and keep spamming that join combat, formerly known as Instant Action button.